Giant Stalker, Dragon Stalker, Crypt Stalker, Demon Stalker, Rift Stalker, Grom Stalker, Crypt Stalker, Scourge Stalker, Wind Runner, I'm a pony, Lead Skill Hunter. A Death Dealer, a Life Stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome sauce.
Welcome to episode 270 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from thrillofthewild.com and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
And I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast and Bendak Wow on Twitter.
All right. Today is Monday, May 14th, 2018, and we are broadcasting live on twitch.tv. And if you're in the chat room, just shoot us some questions and we'll try and answer them as best we can on today's show. I haven't seen Allie in ages. I don't know what she's been up to, but we'll find out. But I don't think she's lurking in the chat room today. But hey, we've almost a full house. We've got Synth, we've got Bendak, we've got Delirium here this week. So hey, we've got a show, and we've done it, and it's been less than a month since we did the last show. So we are making progress here. But to be fair, it's at the end of the Legion expansion. There's not much to talk about there, and I don't know. Battle for Azeroth's almost out the door, so we'll have plenty of stuff once that goes live. But here we are. So how's everyone doing? How are you doing, Delirium? I haven't talked to you in
I'm doing all right. We officially went on end of the expansion break for a couple months. I think we'll start back up when the pre-patch comes out, but so far we are in the lull and just waiting for something to happen.
Now you're in the beta. I think you mentioned, we were talking about this in the pre-show. I think you were one of the last of our group, I guess, to finally make it in. So
I was one of the last of everybody, let's be honest here. I'm pretty sure it's basically an open beta yet. I'd be curious to hear if there are people who are signed up to get in who haven't. But
yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know how much enthusiasm there's been. I mean, normally in the past around these things, it's, everyone's sort of been, it's like the hottest ticket in town, right? To get into one of these things. I'm not so sure that's the case anymore.
No, it's not.
I think people get in there and they realize that it's work, right? And it's not nearly the same. Nothing you do is permanent. There's no add-ons enabled right now. There's no character copy. Still no character copy yet. So you're just popping in some pre-made character that you could care less about, and you gotta set up all your keybinds and using the default UI and all this stuff. So it just doesn't quite feel like it does when you're playing live.
Well, actually, add-ons work now. But a lot of them haven't been updated to work yet.
Yeah, and is it just me, or does this beta feel a lot more beta than they used to?
Well, the alpha certainly did. I mean, now they've got a lot of the content in, but it's still, I don't know. I think I just don't have the same enthusiasm for playing the beta as I did in, even Warlords of Draenor.
Yeah, Warlords was one of the betas I was very, very excited to be in, and had a lot of fun playing and testing things out in that one more so than it sort of tapered off a little bit with Legion, and now this beta I haven't really been that into to say. But I have it here in our notes that Muffinus, I think earlier on the 11th, he tweeted out and he said that the battle for Azeroth content creation is coming to an end soon. Many awesome new things will show up in the next build. And they said, this has been a super fun ride, and I'm incredibly excited to see what you think of everything we've created. So I don't know if that build is out yet, but it sounds like, we're about to get a build here soon that might have a lot of content that just isn't out there right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what content he's referring to. Maybe it's just a big collection of little things coming in, because I think all the main features are in there already.
Yeah, maybe just cleaning stuff up. I know internally there are always several builds ahead of what's out there on the servers. So, even some of the stuff that we're testing now and bugs that we're reporting are probably been taken care of. But maybe they'll do a pet pass, because I think you were talking about this before, that a lot of the pets still aren't tameable yet, and we don't really know what all the new ones are going to be quite yet.
Yeah, maybe I think that'll be coming in this build that he's talking about, because he also teased a new pet type which is, well, it's basically unicorns.
Right, that's what everyone's speculating. He said, finaling week, secret leak. Okay, tameable horse 2S. Is there some way you're supposed to pronounce that? I'm showing my age here, but not quite understanding.
Horses. It was supposed to say
No.
horses.
Just to say horses.
an
I was just
apostrophe.
curious. I mean,
No, it's not. It's Horse 2S is like the name of like it's like an internal name of like the model of the beast.
Ah, fancy.
And then Wowhead looks at that name and it's like, oh, it's unicorns.
which is fine, I guess. I think, and some of those were introduced in Legion. You see those things running around. I mean, I looked at those and said, oh, I wish I could tame them. So I guess that'll be kind of good. I mean, they did mention, I think, that there was going to be a new pet family. So I guess that might be it then. That might be the pet family that they're introducing.
Yeah, he also teased some more because someone replied to him and said, so we have all these new dinosaurs on Zandalar and we're getting more horses. And he's like, I didn't say only horse 2S. So I don't know. I'm still holding out hope for the big brontosauruses.
Yeah, the Brontosaurus would be cool, and then the Pterodax as well. I'd love one of those. Would be kind of fun. But no mention of anything on the stable slots at all. I guess I don't know. I'm sort of giving up hope at this point. I'm just gonna have to feel like that they're settling on 50 as a perfectly adequate number, despite adding at least 50 new pets in the last 2 expansions. It feels like
just gotta roll more hunters.
That doesn't really help, right? I mean, yes, I could do different pets on different hunters. I get that, but I don't know. I kind of like to get them all on my main hunter, as many as I can.
Yeah, now with the way the buffs are changing for pets, not buffs but abilities, you kind of have to reevaluate your stable again to make sure you have like what you need. Like, okay, so you need like a raiding pet, which is like tenacity, and it also has a tranquilizing / dispel on it. And then you need certain pet for soloing and all that stuff, and that you might not have that right now.
Yeah, and I haven't done that yet. I guess I'll wait once they do that. Maybe the pet pass, but that is something I'll probably do before the pre-patch. Then just take a look. You would think with 50 pets, I'd be good, but maybe not.
Well,
What all have you been soloing with, Bendak?
On the beta?
Yeah, just what pets?
Just mostly just the cat and the turtle they give you with the default hunter.
Oh.
But because there's nothing you can really tame anything yet. But it's interesting, like you think the tenacity would be the best soloing for like leveling and stuff like that, but actually ferocity is really good because of the leech you get, especially with the aspect of the beast talent. So your pet gets 15% leech, kind of just keeps itself alive. And that's partially because pets right now, they're doing crazy auto attack damage, like just nuts. And that might actually be intentional.
Now, is that across the board for Survival Hunter 2, or?
Yeah, it's just the pets are doing lots of damage. Like for example, marksmanship, Lone Wolf gives you 10% when you put your pet away, but using a pet is more single target damage right now.
Which is fairly fun. I kind of like that. I hope. I mean, I'm sure they're going to fix it to where it will be more damage to use Lone Wolf, but it would be fun if they were at least comparable and you could have a choice.
Yeah, I think they should be comparable because it's already for multi-target. Obviously, Lone Wolf is going to be better because it's not like your marksmanship pet can beast cleave or anything. But so Warcraft devs tweeted today, and they said basically that like it's not just for pet attacks, but auto attacks for all classes are much higher than they used to be, like relative to your other damage, and apparently that's intentional, but they didn't say why they're doing that.
Yeah, and I can only assume maybe they're just I don't know, balancing it out relative to your other abilities. Or I mean, it just seems like an obvious thing to say, but I wonder if they're looking at that now maybe as another way of just tuning the overall damage by certain classes.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
know. I
think-
wonder if it's go ahead.
I think they're just trying to make the default, like the lowest damage you can do, be higher, so the floor is higher. For so the worst players, even if everybody has bad stories about going into LFR or something, the worst players will be doing more damage now.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Because I think right now, like auto shot for me, like on a single target fight, does like 2 or 3% at the most damage. So it's kind of insignificant. So I don't know. I guess it won't change that much by giving it a higher percentage of your total damage. But the pet thing is, I don't know if they're going to keep it when it's this high.
Yeah, and I mean, I know with Beast Mastery, your pets are supposed to do fairly high damage, but maybe this is putting them in that little nerf zone. But I mean, since the last show, I mean, I guess there have been some additional beta builds, but it doesn't look like a lot has changed for hunters. And I think since we did our last show, and once the beta ramped up, they actually did a blue post where people were asking, the sort of the state of the various classes was. And what they said was that they were close to finished with the changes to rotations and the look and feel for most specs. And they said they still got changes coming soon in the beta to Unholy Death Knights, Frost Death Knights, and Protection Warriors. And I think Death Knights just saw a whole bunch of changes go in a few days ago, as a matter of fact. And then they said we used the alpha timeframe to make some surgical changes to several other specs, and we're somewhat finished with that stage of development for this expansion. So, I mean, it sounds like they're mostly done at this point, and this just might be how hunters are going to look and feel and play going into Battle for Azeroth now.
Well, look at it this way. The pre-patch is going to be out in about 6 weeks, and the final classes will be on there. I mean, obviously, there'll be like tuning and stuff, but I think they're pretty much done. Maybe they'll tweak a few talents here or there, but what you see is what you get.
And one of those changes we talked a little bit about last week was the barbed shot for Beast Mastery hunters. And is that still feel like a work in progress to you? You said it was kind of acting a little bit wonky on the beta right now.
Oh yeah, I think it's like for people who don't know, it's like the new focus generator. It replaces Dire Frenzy, but it does the same thing as Dire Frenzy, so it's mostly just a visual change. You like put a bleed on the target instead of your pet doing attacks on the target when you use it. Although right now it's just in a weird state. It's like they ported it over from Dire Frenzy and forgot to remove some of the Dire Frenzy stuff, and it's just basically it does like 4 or 5 things right now, and it just feels weird.
So it's like they did a copy and paste when creating it, add a few new things, and maybe not finished yet. It's a sort of a neat idea, right? You fire a shot, it causes your target to bleed, and that sort of gets your pet all riled up and frenzied. I kind of like that sort of thematically. Anyway.
Yeah, and the whole gameplay of keeping those attack speed stacks up on your pet, if they keep the auto attack damage this high, that's actually going to be a huge differentiator in your performance if you can keep those stacks up, which actually is kind of a good thing. I don't know. I think it would make Beast Mastery a little more rewarding to play well,
And what have you been focusing mostly on, Delirium, when you tried the beta? Are you looking at any one spec in particular stand out to you?
I've mostly been playing survival, just because it's weird. But this is the first beta that I have not spent every minute of my time over in Shatrath. So I haven't actually been to Shatrath yet. I don't even know if it's set up anymore. So yeah, I've just been kind of dinking around. I haven't done any major theory crafting or reverse engineering yet. I don't know if I will. We'll see.
Well, and it sounds like it might be a little soon to do that anyway, and that there's a lot of time left, as we've been saying. But I mean, anything you do to try and calculate damage-wise, I imagine just going to be it's going to go out the window, right? They're just going to change it at some
Right,
point.
but it's also just much simpler now. They took away a lot of the complexity, so there's not much of a rush needed to figure out how things are working. They've pretty well told us how everything's working. So
Yeah, it doesn't like everything sort of scale the same way now. Like even pet attacks are like off your weapon damage or something like that.
yep, so it's a lot simpler. And that's always been my kind of bread and butter. So now I'm just kind of playing around, seeing what there is to see.
So do you think survival is something that you would just play regularly, assuming like the damage was really good, going forward, or you're just playing it to play it? Are you a convert at this point?
No, I still hate raiding as melee. I mean, it's just not that fun to raid as melee. I don't know how people do it. And I love standing in the back and letting other people get hit with stuff. So I'm sure I will continue to do that. But when playing out in the world, like even now, I'm playing primarily survival because I'm not raiding for the next few weeks. So I imagine I'll do the same thing. It hasn't looked like there's any changes that will affect how I'm, what specs I'm playing. It's either going to be, unless survival is just doing insane damage, then sure, I'm happy to play it. But otherwise, it'll just be whichever's doing more marks or BM.
What do you think of marksmanship, the changes?
I haven't played with it too much since the beta came out. Mostly just what they had a month or so ago. So I'm not really up to date on it.
Marksmanship, it hasn't really changed since they started the alpha too much, but I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like it feels like slow, but you're still not. There's no downtime, but it just feels slow at the same time. I don't know. I don't mind it. Like I don't necessarily need button mashing all the time.
Yeah, I don't mind the steady shot or any of that stuff, or the casting for regen, whatever. It all works out fine for me as long as I'm doing something. I don't care whether it's casting or hitting something every GCD.
Yeah.
I do think it feels more like a version of marksmanship that I remember and like. Although I can't think of what expansion it actually feels like right now. Maybe not any of them.
Well, I was going to ask you that. Which one was your favorite iteration of it?
Oh, definitely MOP. Especially in the late period. Although it was kind of at the bottom of the 3 specs the entire expansion. But it was still fun, especially in PvP toward the end of MUP.
Yeah, I'm struggling to remember what it was like in MUP because I think I played so much Beast Mastery and Survival then.
Yeah, it was just they were all 3 very similar. Marksmanship had a 9-second signature ability instead of a 6-second like BM or a 6-second with procs like marksmanship or survival had. So and it had more casting, but I don't know. It was a solid rotation, like it was actually a rotation. Yeah, I just liked it. It was mostly single target damage and not great AoE, but that was fun in battlegrounds and such.
Well, I see joining us here in the chat is Miss Foxy. How are you, Foxy?
Hi, guys.
Whoa.
Long time no chat.
It has been a while. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Had some bumps in the road, but recovering nicely.
Well, that's always good to hear. Now, are you doing the we haven't really talked about BlizzCon yet this episode, but are you doing the BlizzCon thing again?
I definitely am. I'm trying a different angle. I'm writing out some things for the last week or so. So I'm trying to see what I want to do as far as an activity goes.
Cool, you got tickets?
I did. Did you guys get tickets?
I did not. Big flunk
No.
on the tickets.
Are you guys wanting to go? I may have an extra or two.
Oh, fancy. I can talk to you after the show.
Awesome. Yeah, I picked up some extras for people, but I have someone that hasn't confirmed yet, so I don't think they are going. But I may have one for sure.
Yeah, we had at least a dozen people from my guild online trying to get them and ended up with only one person getting through the line. So they got the max of 4 tickets, but nowhere near enough to get everybody in.
I got lucky both times.
And we already reserved our house, so we can't go back on it. We're just going to find
Oh
something
boy.
somehow.
You
Or just
can't-
spend the time hanging out in the Hilton, which is really just as fun.
I was
Yeah,
to say
I
you could
know,
almost
right?
just go right, and you just buy the live ticket, and then so you can't go into the actual convention center, but you can certainly watch all the presentations and go to the bar and go to the parties and do all the stuff that's not officially associated with BlizzCon, which is the majority of the stuff that you do in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'm
you
not
can
trying
share
to feel
tickets
like
too.
I'm not trying to profit or anything, just face value and whatever fees PayPal charges you. So I'm not trying to scalp you guys.
Sounds good. Darkbrew, are you gonna make it back this year?
No, I'm expected to be somewhere else. So although it's not confirmed yet, so but maybe I'll keep an eye on that, and even that's something to consider. So if my other plans fall through, then maybe just heading out to California if I could swing it, regardless of a ticket or not. As I just said, would probably work just fine. But at the moment, no, I'll be a no-show again this year, unfortunately.
Did too many more of those, and we're just gonna have to, take you off the roster.
I know that's what I said. I was telling Synth, it's like I'm hoping to shoot for 2019 at least. This is 2 in a row where I haven't been, and I've been to 2 more, and they're fun, right? It's a good time, for sure.
Foxy, have you
Absolutely.
talked to Roger? Do you know if he's showing up this year?
He did say he was going. When I talked to him on the stream one day, so we can expect to see him there for sure.
Sounds good. It's a party. Bendak, I assume you're still out.
Yeah, I'm probably out.
Out or yes, or you're going?
Out.
Oh man, I'm breaking my heart, Bendak.
I know, it's such a big commitment though, especially
I
coming
know.
from Canada.
Yeah, I get that.
Well, you'll have to let us know what you get as the whatever you planning for a hunter meetup shapes up, and we'll certainly make sure people who listen to this show are aware of all the cool things happening again as they
Absolutely.
ramp up. Especially those T-shirts; those are fun.
I know, man. The design last year was so good that I don't know. I might give Zoe a break and just use the same design because it was so good.
There you go.
I really liked it. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but I really did like it.
Now, have you been playing in the beta at all, Foxy?
I created a character and I started to play, but then I didn't go much further than that. So I'm kind of teetering between not spoiling myself with what's available, and then on the other hand, I kind of really want to be prepared because I want to raid a little more serious next expansion. So it's kind of tough.
I'm really hoping Bendak will put out some good guides and tell me how to be prepared because I have been slacking.
I know, and I'm like really relying on like him and Azer to, make sure the guys are nice and beefy, and the information we get from Roger. I don't know, tough call.
Well, the Beastmaster guide should be pretty easy. I can just copy and paste most of it
Yeah.
from the Legion guide.
Yeah, I mean, it's just some things it doesn't seem like things have changed that drastically, right? I mean, obviously, probably the big thing is the loss of the weapon and moving away from that this time around.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm freaking looking forward to that. I love the whole adrenaline rush of like getting your best in slot weapon from a raid that you've been bashing your head against. I don't know, the level playing field was cool, but I'm kind of over that right now.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice just to get a straight weapon, as a drop versus, getting it. I mean, getting something, right for the game. This was kind of it was kind of an experiment. It was kind of a neat change of pace, but I'm over it. I'm done with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'm done with Relic and the like Crucible crap.
Oh yeah, the Crucible, the fact that you could get something really good but then or what you thought was really good for that first, first affix, and then you put it in the the like Crucible, and it tells you the third level talents are all crap. But Foxy, I don't think we got to ask you what do you think, or do you have any opinions on the changes to personal loot versus master loot coming up in BFA?
Well, I'm kind of biased because the hardcore raider in me says screw that. I rather try to balance the raid so we get a good comp and everybody gets the right pieces. But then the casual in me is like, awesome. I could
Wanna
just
do split runs anymore?
like it's. I don't know, man. I think that decision is or that choice is split between people. Just for an officer, say for example, if you guys are officers and you're a loot council, you're like, awesome, I don't have to deal with it. But then you can also create more rules around it. If you're raiding with a guild, you could still make rules around it. Hey, if you get something, you should pass it off if you don't need it, etc. But I don't know how guilds are gonna work that out.
Yeah, that seems kind of like a nightmare to manage. It's like you get a personal loot drop and your guild's like, oh, you can't have that. You have to give it to someone. I don't think that would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless
do it
they
and I
are 100% loyal to each other, that will work beautifully. However, if it's not, then I don't know. We're gonna have a lot of casual, hardcore raiders.
We do that with the BOE drops, and just
A BOE, that's fair. Like I can get that.
My guild uses BOEs to fund the guild bank and
yeah, that's what we
flasks
do.
and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a different ball game. But like telling somebody, hey, I know Blizzard said that you need this piece of loot, but however, you don't, so give it to somebody else.
Yeah, I think my main thing is I just don't know why they have to take away the options master loot. Like people already overwhelmingly use personal loot anyway, so why would you stop the?
And the reason they want to is to get rid of split runs.
Yeah,
It's got to be a better way to do that.
They've been trying for years and haven't come up with a way to get rid of them. So,
And why make a decision like that based on something that the top like 50 guilds in the whole world do?
yeah, man. I mean, let people play the game how they want to play the game. I don't know if you should put so many restrictions around everything.
Yeah, and I mean, loot has been a part of the game since day one, right? I mean, we're going on 14 years here that they've had, loot systems in place. It's not like they just introduced loot for raids, last expansion, and now they're trying to improve upon it. It's been like this for a long time. The world hasn't exploded.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how guilds handle that. But I mean, I don't know. I think it should just be up to that player. But if they are trying to progress, then I guess then that's when you got to put the controls around it, even if it's personal loot.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the question, right? Like, some people were concerned that during progression, if they don't come along for the progression runs, and then they just come for the farm runs, like the first farm run, they get all the weapons they need, or they get all the items they need, and there's nothing to keep them from sharing with the rest of the group.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I guess it depends on the guild. Like a lot of guilds, people are in it for the guild and the kill, but there's still like a lot of players who are loot driven, and those
Yeah.
players they like. So you have a progression night coming up where it's obvious you're just going to wipe for 3 or 4 hours, those people might be conveniently sick or something, and then they'll show up on farm night and they'll still get loot even though they aren't showing up for progression, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, which I am definitely not cool with that. That is just that sucks. For lack of better terms.
And then with the personal loot, right? I mean, you can trade it, right? As long as it's not an eye level upgrade. Is that those
That's
rules
correct.
still in effect? Yeah.
I kind of wish that if they're forcing personal loot, they would lift those restrictions a little bit, maybe like 10 eye levels or something, because sometimes it's just not an upgrade anyway. But I think with 10 eye levels, there'd be more opportunities to trade the loot around in a guild.
Yeah. Although I will say, I still remember that one time back in what was it, Wrath of the Lich King, where I desperately needed a weapon and rolled a 98 and then lost to a 100. So so that's a long time ago, and I still remember it very vividly. The excitement of seeing the weapon drop, the excitement of rolling a 98 and then watching it all just fade away.
But then
horribly.
that burn, that's, oh my gosh.
That's another thing that you lose from this. It's like you kill the big new boss for the first time, and the first thing you do, you run up and look what's on the corpse. And now you got to go look at your chat frame and see what dropped.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I'm sure that there'll be add-ons to help coordinate that.
Yeah, I've never run with personal loot. Will it work like in LFR? Doesn't it? It like scrolls down, like everybody who won something shows up in the middle of your screen, doesn't it?
It
Yeah,
shows
it
up
does.
in my screen of whatever everybody gets, unless,
I think so.
yeah, I think
think-
it's just maybe once or twice I've seen it not do that, but I think in general mine does that by default. Or maybe it's some setting that I have set up that I don't know about that shows me.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, so I might have an add-on that's suppressing that. I'm not sure.
Do any of y'all run with personal loot right now?
Yeah, well, I pug a lot recently because I haven't been progression rating, so get quite a
No,
bit of loot though that way.
yeah, we don't use personal just for alt night we do, but actually even alt night we usually don't. At least for tier bosses, because sometimes it's so easy for someone to get duplicate tier pieces and stuff like that. Whereas if you can distribute the token, there's a better chance someone who needs it gets it.
The only thing that sucks is like getting an upgrade for a piece of tier that you already have, and then your GM or your officer loot council is like, hey, since you already have that, can you give it to XYZ? I don't know.
Well, if you've never owned a piece of loot that high, then you can't even trade it though, right?
Right, but I mean, it could come in, an upgrade can come in the form of like a socket or something, you know.
Yeah, I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying. That's the problem with like the tier token drops. Yes, you've got the tier piece. Maybe you even have something Titan Forge, but there's always an upgrade potential upgrade around the corner there with one of those. You never know, but they won't let you roll the dice.
Well, I guess the good news is the tier pieces are going away, right? So
Well, that's true. That's true.
Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot.
Yeah,
Well,
but don't
hell,
forget the
it's a
Azeroth
non-issue
pieces.
then.
Yeah, but the Azeroth pieces are going to be the new tier pieces, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious how it's going to affect our guild. We have a few people who are, I mean, I think they're being nice, but they just hardly ever roll on anything unless it's a perfect like stat distribution for them. Like they, only say they want their best in slots pieces basically. And so it's going to be I don't know, weird to see if like it changes the guild output if those people are getting stuff that are like minor upgrades a lot more often. Or maybe it'll ruin our output because some of those people are really good. So if they're not able to get their best in slot ever, then we're going to suffer.
And they'll be unlucky like me and never get any good loot to the end of the tier.
Yeah, I think that's mostly what I'm worried about, is I'm just always unlucky.
Yeah, trying to get your weapon just from personal loot only, that you might get that could be pretty frustrating.
Random pug gets a Titan Forged weapon. You get nothing.
Oh my! Oh, I would lose it.
And TOT, I believe this was Throne of Thunder. Was that the first time they introduced flex rating?
I think
And
so.
they
Yeah.
called it flex, normal, and heroic.
No, that was Siege. They did.
Yeah, it was Siege. It was the final
Oh,
raid
okay.
that they introduced that.
Anyways, it was at least halfway through heroic before I even got a normal weapon. And it was just miserable. I thought I was going to be kicked from the guild just because I couldn't get a weapon.
That's hard though. Like trying to keep up with everybody, and you just have the worst luck with loot.
Yeah, especially if like our weapons drop on like a later boss or something like that. I always like it when it's like the first couple of bosses that have these things.
Well, at least now you can grind Mythic Pluses for extra chances at that weapon you can't get.
Yeah, well, that's true. And I mean, I don't think they're doing away with the bonus rolls, right? I think that'll continue into Battle for Azeroth. So that's just another source of gear as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand what the point of the bonus rolls is with everybody doing personal loot anyway.
Getting 2 pieces of loot from the same box.
I don't think that's ever happened.
For
Yeah,
me,
it's
yeah.
just,
To me, it hasn't. I should say.
just
So
a
is the
time.
other guy, right? Especially remember the world bosses that used to drop like the couple of pieces of tier, and you'd see someone get like their 2-piece tier set, like 1 kill.
Day one of the patch. Yeah, I've seen that. Piss me off.
But yeah, we're gonna be looking for our Azerite pieces on particular bosses, so definitely saving up our rolls for those, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I would think so. Have they released like all the loot tables yet or finalized all that? I haven't really looked or tried to study into the raid bosses or even dungeons and stuff to see what's out there.
I know they did some raid testing earlier last week, I think, but I haven't seen any loot tables.
You can look at the boss loot in the dungeon journal, but it's not finished yet.
Yeah, are the Azerite pieces all finished yet? I haven't checked those in a
No.
while. I didn't think so. This feels a lot more beta, for sure. I think artifact weapons were definitely done by now, right? When Legion was in beta.
Yeah.
But they don't really need to finish all the Azerite stuff until the raid comes out. That's another half patch or whatever.
Well, there's Azerite you can get from questing and dungeons and all that too. But
Right, but all of the dungeon and questing stuff is kind of boring.
well,
At
hopefully
least it
some of the
looked like.
dungeon stuff is good with Mythic Plus and everything. But yeah, I agree. The raiding ones will be have all those cool bonuses probably, and plus the raid usually comes out a couple weeks after the launch of the expansion anyway. So that might be one of the last things they do.
Have you guys been like raiding this all this time, or what have you been doing?
Yeah, I've been
I know
raiding
that
just. But as for playing the game, that's all I pretty much do now. Just log into raid and do like my 15, and there's not much else to do really.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about that before. I'm definitely on break.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I've been on most of a hiatus as well. Just kind of waiting for like character copies and things to get fleshed out in the beta. Just be a little bit more enjoyable that way. To give that a try as we get closer, and then once the pre-patch hits, I guess it'll be all back on again.
I'm kind of hoping. I was going to say I was kind of hoping when the pre-patch comes out and they do that new stat squish again, that it kind of makes the Antorus a little easier, so we can finish off Mythic. Because I think when they did the stat squish before Warlords, I think there was a similar effect on the raid then.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
a lot easier.
Yeah, but I guess during the pre-patch or when the pre-patch comes out, a lot of the achievements go away. So
Right.
you'll want to be aware of that. I guess that's a good PSA. The Mage Tower challenges for sure, I think, are becoming unattainable with the pre-patch, which, isn't that far away. if the
No, it's not. And I don't know how often the Mage Tower, pops up.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it like every 5 days or so? I don't know. But if you say it's once a week, then you've got maybe 5 or 6 more Mage Towers left to do it.
Wait, so have they announced when the pre-patch is going to be, or are you just assuming 1 month?
It's usually 1 month.
I'm assuming it's going to be 6 weeks from now, roughly, because the game's 3 months out. So
yeah, the game's coming out August 14th, and if you even say 6 weeks before that, that's July 10th. And
Nope. Try again. August 14th?
Yeah, August 14th is the release date.
Then July 14th would be 4 weeks.
Yeah, I said 6 weeks. July 10th would be. Wait, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 5. Okay, July 3rd. I'm sorry.
Math is so hard.
Yeah, I say July 3rd.
Okay,
maybe
I'm
they
sorry.
would do that. That's also, right around a holiday weekend or holiday time. So maybe they wouldn't do it that Tuesday, but who knows, right?
Who knows? Yeah, maybe the 26th then, back 1 more week, 7 weeks. But either way, it's not that far away.
And we'll probably know more. I mean, it hasn't hit the PTR, so it's got to go up there first. So that ought to be happening very soon, I would think. In fact, that would be, maybe it could happen this week, but maybe the following week.
yeah, I'd assume within the next 2 weeks there'll be a PTR for that. So if you haven't got in the beta, at least you can get on there to try the class changes out.
Oh, that's scary. Not much of a hiatus really for this end of the expansion.
No, I mean, I like these summer releases that they've been able to do. I mean, I just remember it used to be November and almost December. I mean, it's a much longer wait for them to launch their expansions. And which means by the time BlizzCon comes along, we'll be, a good bit of the way into this expansion. So they should have, while they won't have a new expansion to announce, wouldn't think, probably have a lot to reveal for whatever they got planned for the rest of the year.
Hear about the next tier, raid tier 2.
I mean, I do remember that from the off year for Legion, they actually had a lot of good information. They were prepared to talk about what was coming down the pike all the way up to Argus.
I remember that. They told us that really early that we're going to Argus.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they didn't have a lot of detail there, but they were comfortable stating it.
Yeah, I think Argus was a lot more content than I was expecting in terms of a mid expansion patch. In the past we got Firelands, we got a couple of other areas that you had to unlock through dailies and stuff like that.
Timeless Isles?
Timeless Isles. But I mean, that wasn't all that much content compared to Argus. I mean, Argus had three zones worth of storylines?
3 small zones.
It's still a pain on an alt. But
Argus is the only content I've done on my alts. I still need to do some of the whatever the one was before Argus, so I can unlock that extra follower in the end of that tree, or artifact knowledge tree.
Are you talking about the Suramar stuff? The Suramar quest lines?
No, the one after that.
Like the Broken Shore?
Oh.
Yes, that's the one. But Argus it's also as such, when you're first level in alt, the rewards in Argus are so awesome that it's easy to do, I thought.
Yeah, so this expansion had a really high gear spread, if you will. We went from around 650, 750 was our artifact weapon, right? When it first started out. And we went from 750 all the way to 1,000. So, do you think that's gonna happen again next expansion? Like, is that why we? I mean, that's obviously why we had the stat squish, right?
Hmm.
Do you think
Yeah.
that felt good?
No, I like getting more powerful, but yeah, I think it'll happen again.
I feel like they went overboard because they made secondary stats scale linearly. So they even more overcompensated with making the primary stats overscale. And it got a little ridiculous.
Well, and the Titan forging really mucked things up too.
Yeah, man, I wish they would get rid of Titan forging.
At least they're making it so that weapons can only warforge.
Huh, I didn't hear that. That's good.
Yeah, and the
Yeah,
Azeroth.
I was in a normal in Taurus yesterday. Saw a pug that was probably item level 900 get a 975 item. I was just like,
But do
in
you all
normal.
have your weapons up over 1,000 yet?
My
Nope.
my BM one's exactly 1,000. I'm gonna keep
Nice.
it there too.
Yeah, there's no reason to increase at this point. So
Yeah. So yeah, they got rid of Titan forging or any forging on your on the Azerite pieces, right? So the shoulders, head, and chest.
Right.
Yeah.
and that includes the sockets.
I think it does. I'm not sure about sockets, but I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
And
'Cause-
plus, if the actual traits themselves level up to between difficulties.
Mhm. Yeah. So if you get the weapon or whatever, if you get the tier piece, the Azerite pieces, um, that is the only RNG that's going to happen. There's not an additional layer of RNG on top of it, where you get like an 880 Arcano Crystal or something like that, and you just go, okay, I'm never going to replace this piece.
Did you get Amanthal's Bendak?
No one in my guild has gotten it.
Am I neither?
I've never seen it drop. And my friend of mine has one on his DK and one on his Hunter.
That's absurd.
I know.
Well, the funny thing is, like, it's not. I don't even think it's an upgrade for me over the Golganeth one.
As BM, really? Huh.
Mhm. Maybe for AOE, but that's it. Actually, not even for AOE because the proc is so good.
It's probably an upgrade for the guild, though, right? Or for your raid team,
Possibly, yeah.
since everybody's got tons of the DPS procs, but not a lot of the tanker
Yeah,
either.
and it was close to. I mean, if I got it, of course I'd wear it. But it's not going to drop, so I'm not really even thinking about that.
Well, since you brought that up, we actually had a listener Q&A question about Golganeths. Did you want to actually do a once in a blue moon thing? And
Yeah, the annual question, the question of the year. Yeah, this was from Kel Duel on Twitter, who's been playing for a long time. He used to blog. I don't know that he's blogs much anymore, but he asked us, he said, hey, at Hunting Party Pod, no reason to keep Pantheon's blessings after my Golganeth's vitality is level 100, right?
Oh, there is a reason. Just not a good reason.
And that reason is?
You know, if you have too many bag slots, you can use one of them on Pantheon's blessings. That's all I could come up with.
Yeah, I got a couple of those in my bags or in my bank. I'm like, what do I do with this?
Yeah, I don't know what to do with them either. I'm holding on to them because I don't know why, but
You never know when Blizzard's going to screw you over.
every time I get a new one, I try to apply it to my trinket anyway, and the cast
Yeah,
fails.
me
I'm like,
too.
damn it.
Trust issues. That's why we have trust issues with Blizzard.
There's all these little things in the past where it's like, or something happens and like you regret not doing it or saving it or something. I'll delete it when I hit 120, I guess. Then again, maybe it's a souvenir. Maybe I'll keep it.
Just keep one of them.
I'll put it next to Roger Brown's whatever ring and the my Zahara's helm.
I'll put it next to my 4 monk legendary tokens.
I've got like 3 or 4 priest tokens now, and I can't for the life of me ever imagine playing a priest. I figured whatever I got for tokens, I would just roll one of those just for funsies, but not a priest.
Did you guys watch the Mythic Dungeon Invitational?
I did not. I did see a lot of the things that were going on with it though. A lot of the drama.
Oh, yeah,
What was the drama? I didn't know.
Were there issues with it, or?
Oh, the drama was just there was like some bugs in dungeons, and then when that happens, Blizzard remakes the match, and the team that didn't have the bug, maybe they're having a really great run or something, and they have to
Oh
make a
yeah,
new
that
run,
sucks. Yeah.
and they don't do as well the second time, and blah blah. But the event itself, I thought it was pretty fun to watch. Like, I mean, it's a lot of content too. Like, if you ever want to watch it, like, it'll take you like a long time to get through it, because there was 4 weekends, and each weekend is about, like, the VODs are like, in total between the 2 days, it's like upwards of 20 hours.
Yeah, it's 4 different regions, right? And each region has a bracket of 8 teams going through. Was that the recent run through, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's a lot of matches to do. And, you do these Mythic Pluses, you know how long these take. And at, what is it, 24? Were they at 24?
They were doing 22s, 23s, and 24s.
Yeah, so, at 24, you're just at the edge of those timers anyway. No one's beating the timer by, by +3. So, each one of those runs takes quite a bit of time, but I do have to say it's very watchable. I mean, they've done a really good job at improving the overlays so that you can see the lust timer and the number of deaths, number of reses left. So they added that thing where you only have 1 battle res at the beginning of the dungeon, and then you get one every, 5 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
With a maximum of 5 for a particular Mythic Plus. So yeah, it's always fun to watch to see if they actually take the battle reses, or if they decide not to use it, and then watch them try to down a tyrannical boss in like 5 minutes or something like that. But yeah, there's a lot of cool things they've done to the overlays, and also I think Twitch has the new overlay where you can see the actual loadout for every single character on the who's doing the run, so you can see if they're using the Shard of the Exodar for the mages, or what legendaries they're using. And that was a really neat feature.
You can see that if you watch it live. You can basically inspect all the players in pretty much real time. It's really neat, because when they do like different pulls, they obviously change their loot. So if you inspect them again, you can see what they're wearing for each pull.
Oh, I didn't know that. I was just I forgot that this is such a high level that they really have to change everything every single pull. But that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a few hunters in there, mostly marksmanship, but on a couple occasions there was actually a BM hunter. I think it was for like Upper Karazhan, because there's not much trash, and I guess they needed someone to kill orbs, and that's why he went BM.
Oh, geez. What legendaries were the choices? Did you pay attention to those?
For the marksmanship guys, it was the standard stuff like
Ols,
boots and belt, and Pride as and the ring. It just depends what they're doing because they constantly change their gear.
So do you think those particular legendary effects are going to get built into the class somehow, or maybe like show up again as trinkets or something in BFA?
I wouldn't be surprised to see a few of them show up as Azeroth traits. I think there's already a couple. Like there's like a Pride as Azeroth trait, I think. So
Yeah, a much weaker version of that. Is that right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but we haven't really seen any of the traits for like the raid gear. So who knows? Like they could be really good. Like the way they were talking in the last Q&A, they were saying like each of these traits, and there's what, like 3 traits on each piece, and then your eye level upgrade or something.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, they're saying like each trait is kind of like a 2-piece bonus in terms of power. So you have like 3 2-piece bonuses on each piece of gear, and you have 3 pieces of gear, so it's a lot of little bonuses.
Oh wow! So basically, like a legendary level of so you remember when we went from 1 legendary to 2, like that sort of jump, or is that not the right relativeness?
I honestly don't know. I just have to wait and see like how these actually are.
That's true. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that isn't out yet, even though the beta is what is it, 12 weeks from release?
Yep. I don't even think they have the UI done for the Azeroth yet.
No, it's still that UI not final screen.
No, but it's all getting closer.
Ugh.
What do you guys think about the war mode stuff? Like, are you going to level up in war mode? You guys know what war
No.
mode is?
I have no. Like, I don't even PvP. Why would I do that?
Well, it's a 15% XP bonus, right? So
Oh my, no. I know, but
are you gonna
I
say-
might try. It can't hurt to try, right? If it's miserable, you can always turn it off, but it's, might be worth trying. BM Jaeger in chat saying no to war mode.
it's only really beneficial if you don't have to run back to your corpse every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
See, I was just thinking for the very opening of the expansion, like both factions start on different continents, and you have the option to go to the other continent. I think at 112, there's like a quest to start going over there and establishing footholds and stuff. But for the most part, I think you fully level up on your continent before you start doing most of the stuff on the other one. So for the first day or two, you might not even have many people going after you.
First day or two. You're gonna be 120 before a day, right?
Hey, dude, what are you talking about? You gotta stay up 24 hours until you get to 120.
That's right.
Jeez.
Like, who does this leveling for a week? Who does that?
Normal people.
Yeah, people that sleep, eat.
And so you're saying that any of us on this chat is normal? I don't think so. I know all of you.
I'll have to go back and look. I don't know when I hit 110. I mean, I didn't go super fast, but I didn't go slow either, right? Just played every minute I could. It felt like.
Oh, I kind of forgot I needed to save up some vacation time for this.
I basically made sure that I was raid ready when the raid came out. So
Well, so that reminds me.
Yeah, that I do too.
We had legendaries back then, so it was difficult, right? Because people with legendaries or the good legendaries had to step up when the raids came out, right?
Yeah, and that was before they fixed some of the bad legendaries.
Mm-hmm.
We had several people in guild who ended up raiding on an alt that they had just logged onto for fun and had gotten a good legendary, so they made that their main because they couldn't play their main without a good legendary.
Jeez. Well, thankfully
you know-
that's going away, right?
that's how it was for us hunters, man. It's depressing.
That's why all of my alts are also hunters.
Yeah, you know these high-end guilds that they're trying to solve the whole split runs thing for. You know what those people are going to do now. If they play a hunter, they're going to roll 4 hunters, and then before Mythic, whoever has the best gear, that's who they're going to play because of the whole personal loot thing. Like whoever gets the luckiest will be their main.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, you were right about the leveling there. I just checked my level 110 and it was one day after launch. So yeah.
See?
Yeah. So I mean, you right. So I just say, hey, 15% boost. Really, you're only talking about having to worry about this for what, one day, two most.
Yeah, but maybe that means I can go to bed at 3 a.m. instead of 5 a.m.
I don't know if it's worth it. I can't imagine you save time. I thought the point of the XP increase was because you're wasting time PvPing.
Yeah, but what I was trying to say is at the beginning, I don't even know if there'll be any PvPing going on because there won't even be opposite faction there for a while.
Yeah. Yes, the first day. That might work.
Yeah, and that first, day, that first week, everyone's just focused on everything that's new and just really leveling up their characters, right? And then getting ready to start running the dungeons, getting your gear, getting ready to hit the raids the day they open their doors. So it's a lot more going on than just, beating up people in PvP.
But I think it might be worth trying out for World Quest 2. Like you get 10% more rewards and everything, but it just seemed kind of neat that like when the PvP is going on, if there's a player who's killed 10 people without dying, they get like a bounty put on them and they get show up on the mini map and everything, and you get extra rewards for killing them.
Yeah, I
seems
like the
Wow.
bounty system. That's fun.
I don't think I didn't read about that much of it. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'll
so
be that one that everybody's farming, though. Like, I really suck at PvP.
I'll be
Yeah,
the
look-
one that's saying, okay, that dot on the mini map, that's where I'm staying away. I'm going to go in the complete opposite direction of that guy.
Remember, we're hunters. We can do some pretty annoying stuff to people in PvP. Like, I mean, we all got camouflage now and feign death and traps. We can just kind of like lurk in there, lurk at the World Quest spot and wait for people to show up and do our damage.
Yeah, and our pets can intimidate now, right? Just all
Yep.
pets. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was always the most. What I've heard from other people, the most annoying ability that hunters have is intimidate.
It's huge as survival because this whole expansion, like the lack of stun as a melee, is rough. So that's the most fun part about playing on the beta right now is having a stun and mixed misdirection. Yeah, I can see, especially if you're playing with your friends, like if you level with some guildies or do world quests with guildies, maybe that would give you more incentive to group up, kill people together.
Do you get XP from farming people's bodies?
I'm not sure.
I guess PvP does give you XP, right? So you could technically level up through PvP.
And there's another benefit to doing War Mode 2 is that you get, when you're in the world, your PvP talents are always on, even if you're just doing PvE.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't realize
So-
that. Yeah.
I mean, that's some of those talents are pretty powerful, so that's kind of neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, my first server. Well, I just moved to a PvE server from about a year ago. No, 2 years ago. So I'm very used to that PvP environment. So I'm definitely going to try it out for a little while. See how that goes. Probably switch off war mode the moment I get, griefed for a little while longer than I'm willing to handle. But that means that my characters that are left on that PvP server, I'll be able to play, in 2 months, and play without worrying about people just like coming in from the skies and and just giving them a bad time. But anyway, it's about 10 minutes after 10 now, so
Yeah, we're a little bit over an hour here, so why don't we go ahead and call it and say on that note, you have been listening to episode 270 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from thrillofthewild.com and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast and Bendak Wow on Twitter.
And I'm Foxy from WHU and Miss Mo Logan on Twitter.
All right, you can check us out on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or add our RSS feed to your reader. And of course, all these links are available in the show notes.
If you have a question or a topic you would like us to discuss on the show, email us at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com or send us a tweet at huntingpartypod.
All right, stay thirsty, my friends, and remember to drink your dark brew lager.
Siempre Cristal, la emoción de lo salvaje.
Keep your eyes on the beast.
BlizzCon 2018.
Life stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome sauce. A dues payer, a boss slayer. I rock out with my lockout Viper to cheetah to dragon hawk. No time to waste, cause I can jump shot. BM, MM, and SV. I can rock out any tree. Never worried about my threat, cause I've got FD and misdirect. Catching loose mobs in my tracks. I never miss, cause I am hit capped. Cause I'm the hunter, not the marked. I'm the fighter, not the spark. I'm the kiter, not the kite. I'll top meters every fight. Raiding and cave dealing death. Just me, my gun, and my trusty bed. Now let's begin with Illidan, Osirian, and Gil'jadan, Magdamar, Asgalor, Gruul, Cthulhu, and Razorgore, Onyxia to Ragnaros. Which one have we killed the most? Kel'Thuzad to Malagos. We even killed a Kama's ghost. Feels like we're getting close, all that running as a ghost. Yogg-Saron, Thorian, Sartharian, Magtheridon, Saphiron, Lucifer to Sulfuron, Archivon, Amalon, Coromon, Algalon. The faction champions, the death toll rolling on and on. Garvale, Executus, Chromagus, Jarexus, Rome, Uru, kill this. We won't stop till we kill our boss.
All my leads, you know,